To everything, there is a season, a time to be born, and a time to die. For some of us, that moment comes with grandma or grandpa. For others, that's mom or dad, a brother, a sister, a friend, a lover, whoever it is, whenever it is. One thing is for sure. At some point, every single one of us feels it. The sting of death. We talk so much about the beginning of life. We throw parties just to reveal a baby's gender. We shower the parents with gifts. Then we celebrate the baby's very first breath. And again, every 12 months like clockwork, we share stories about the day we were born. Even though we can't remember it. Not really. Our stories are stitched together from what we've been told. Tiny memories passed from others. Secondhand echoes of our first moment. We talk a lot about birth, but almost never about death. Most of us only talk about it when it's already too late, when death has already taken someone we love. But maybe it doesn't have to be that way, because we are all going to die someday. So maybe we should talk about it while we still can. Here's to death. As everyone knows, death is the end of, well, everything. It's when the body shuts down completely. The heart stops. The breath fades. The brain goes silent. 8:03 p.m. Their heart is failing now. The body is beginning to change. Blood circulation slows, and the skin, no longer glowing like a warm summer day, starts to take on the pale, gray-blue chill of winter. You see it most on the knees, the hands, the legs. Breathing becomes strange. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes fast. Sometimes you hear it clearly. Other times, barely at all. It's called Shane Stokes. They breathe, then stop, then breathe again. Long pauses, then gasps that make you think. Maybe, just maybe, they're still here. But they're close. Soon, there'll be one final pause. And no gasp to follow. Medically described as dead. But somehow, they came back, carrying with them stories. Strange, beautiful, impossible stories. We call them near-death experiences. Because we believe, if they truly died, they wouldn't be here to tell the story. But is that really true? We just don't know. There's a wealth of accounts out there. Stories from people who were declared dead. Sometimes for minutes. Sometimes for hours. Even days. And when they return, they speak of things that seem too detailed, too vivid, too specific to ignore. Out-of-body experiences. Encounters with light. With loved ones. With something more. They describe places they couldn't have seen. Memories they shouldn't have remembered. One thing nearly all of them agree on is that moment. That phrase we've all heard. Your life flashes before your eyes. And it's true. But not in the way we imagine. It's not the grand moments. The wedding. The graduation. The first time you heard your child cry. It's the quiet ones. Riding your bike on a summer afternoon. Opening the mailbox and finding nothing inside. Staring at a white cat while climbing the stairs. Random. Forgettable. Moments that, somehow, weren't forgotten. And that white cat story? It's not a metaphor. It's real. A young man once described that exact scene. A staircase. A white cat. An apartment he swore he didn't recognize. After he came back, he drew it. The stairs, the hallway, the door. He described it in detail. And his mother? She froze. They had lived there. With someone who owned a white cat. They moved out when he was just 14 months old. So, what does that mean? Are all our memories still buried somewhere inside us? Even the ones we never knew we had. When we die, do we see it all again? Do we remember everything we forgot? Is what's gone really gone? Or just waiting to be seen again? One reason death scares us is that it feels lonely. You came into this world alone. But do we leave alone? Where you spend eternity depends, for many, on what you believe. In Abrahamic religions, your time on earth, what you choose to do, how you choose to live, determines where you'll go when you die. Families are encouraged to stay strong, because one day, it's said, we'll all be reunited on the other side. But for others, like in Hindu belief, what is dead shall be reborn. After the prayers are said, the tears are shed, and the ceremonies fade into quiet. The body is either laid to rest or turned to ash, and the living, the ones left behind, they begin the long, slow walk toward healing. The months that follow, even when you expect it, death still hurts, because imagining loss is nothing like actually living through it. Knowing someone is going to die is not the same as waking up one morning and realizing they're already gone. It's in that silence that grief takes hold, a silence that says, everything we once shared, every joke, every hug, every late-night talk, is now just a memory, a moment frozen in time. We can't remake it. We can't add to it. All we can do is remember. And yet, oddly enough, loss teaches us how to live. It reminds us how short life really is, how quickly it can be taken, and how important it is to live fully while we still can. It reminds us to be kind, to be loving, to be present, because one day, someone will stand at our funeral, reading words about who we were, and we won't be there to correct them. Death gives us perspective. It gives us empathy. It allows us to reach out to others in their darkest moments and say, I've been there. I survived. You can too. When you're holding the hand of someone you love, someone who's about to go, just know, death is often not as frightening for the dying as it is for the ones they leave behind. So for the next hour, sit with them, squeeze their hand, talk about anything, everything, the beautiful things in life, the people they loved, the pets they adored, the places they went, the life they lived, because this moment, this is life too, a life worth living to its very last breath, a life well spent. So talk about it. Talk about death. The earth will keep spinning. The birds will keep singing. The sun will rise again. But one day, everything we know, everything we are, will come to an end. Many people who've had a near-death experience say they weren't alone. They saw someone waiting for them, a relative, a friend, someone who had already passed on. Some were gently escorted to what they believed was the afterlife. Others were simply told, it's not your time yet. But either way, death didn't feel lonely, not in the way we fear it will. Now maybe, just maybe, this was the brain trying to comfort itself. A final act of kindness. One last dream to ease the passing. Or maybe it was real. Maybe they really were there, guiding, comforting, waiting for them in that space between life and death. We'll never know for sure. But what we do know is that for most people, death doesn't feel like an empty void. It feels familiar, peaceful, not alone. And that brings us to something deeper, something science still hasn't figured out. The soul. Is it real? Does it exist? Can it ever be explained? Or is it something that lies beyond explanation? You hear these stories of near-death experiences, people who left their bodies, people who saw everything, not from inside their own eyes, but from above them, from somewhere else. Can it ever be explained? Or is it something that lies beyond explanation? You hear these stories of near-death experiences, people who left their bodies, people who saw everything, not from inside their own eyes, but from above them, from somewhere else. One story that still gives me chills. A college freshman who overdosed. In the ambulance, their heart stopped. 3 minutes, they were gone, legally dead. But somehow, they remember everything. Not from their body, but from above it. Watching as EMTs rushed around them. One with minty green hair. An odd, unforgettable detail. 3 days later, they asked for that EMT. And yes, she was real. The machines, the chaos, the exact layout of the ambulance. All real. So you have to ask, is it possible we are more than just atoms, chemicals, and firing neurons? Are we something more? For those who return, these stories are proof. Proof of something beyond. A glimpse behind the veil. But for most of us, death is still the end. And eventually, about a week or two later, it's time for the rest of us to say goodbye. The funeral. Strangely enough, we've learned more about our ancient ancestors from their funerals than from how they lived. The tombs, the graves, the mummified remains. They've told stories that time forgot. In Kafsa, Israel, there's a burial site over 10,000 years old. Bodies placed carefully in graves, alongside clothing, tools, food. They were buried with honor, with love. There were signs of rituals, painted remains, feasts, songs, families buried together. Even that long ago, we understood something important. That death is more than just an end. It's a reminder of a life that meant something. Today, funerals may look different, but the heart behind them is the same. We sit, we speak, we share stories, tears, and laughter. We remember the good. We remember them. And in most traditions, we pray, not for the past, but for the journey ahead. Because depending on what you believe, that person might not be gone at all.